Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on the 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin, because currently we are still breaking down from this massive symmetrical triangle pattern that we have been taking a look at over the last week or so. Currently, since we are still breaking to the downside, this means that we are still targeting this price target of about 69,000 in the Bitcoin price. Besides that, you should know that the point of invalidation for this breakout is at 85.5k. So for example, if you start getting 4-hour candle closes above that 85.5k level, it means that we are no longer targeting 69k and we need to cross off this price target. Besides that, on this 4-hour time frame, we are still in this downtrend that I talked about yesterday as well. And after we got a bit of a bounce to the upside, we got a beautiful rejection from this descending line of resistance, sending us to new lows here in the Bitcoin price. However, right now on this 4-hour time frame, we are potentially about to form a double bottom with these previous lows right here. Do keep in mind, guys, that this is not confirmed yet. As you can see on the right side of my screen here, we have about 2 hours until we get this candle close. So for now, it is just a potential scenario. And by the way, even if we now end up closing this candle in green, it doesn't necessarily mean that we need to blast off to the upside here. The point of invalidation for that double bottom is, of course, if we then end up getting a candle close below these previous lows here, which would be around the 79k level. That is something to potentially look out for. However, if you do actually want to see that big move to the upside, well, we first need to break this level of resistance, which is currently sitting at around 83.4k. But this does trend down over time. And if we were to break this, guys, potentially with some breakout, retest, resumption type structure, well, from there, first of all, we would have some resistance around these previous highs at around 84k. But besides that, we also have resistance further to the upside, which is along this descending trend line. For now, it's not really that relevant because we're nowhere close to this price level, but this is sitting at around 86.6k, which is also along this ascending trend line. So for now, a lot of resistance ahead here. Earlier today, I spent some time on Twitter making some posts and everything on there. Usually I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter for good reason, because man, the things I was seeing, it's crazy. Like people are calling for alt season, like we're literally about to see this. Now look, guys, I'm not saying that it's impossible to have an alt season. However, at the very least, I would need to see Bitcoin break back above this massive descending trend line, because this is just a massive level of resistance that we need to break above. Now, yes, once we break above, then we can start talking about much higher price action for Bitcoin potentially being reached. However, until then, to me, this simply looks like a downtrend that we are currently in. And even if the people that are calling for alt season right now could end up being correct if we get some kind of look like this, which personally I do not think is the most likely, but it is a possibility, I suppose. However, even if they turn out to be correct, there is no way that you could be calling for that right here. Like there's no way you can be calling for it right here, okay? It means that you're not doing analysis and you're just yelling something out. So I don't know what it is, what this obsession is with calling for alt season being imminent. I really don't understand it. I've seen it year after year here, people just calling for alt season over and over again. Okay, whatever. I'm just gonna stop talking about it. Let's just move on to the 1-hour time frame. Now, something interesting that happened on the 1-hour time frame since yesterday's video was, of course, this bullish divergence, because this ended up playing out quite nicely. We got about a 4% move to the upside, and I also got a nice long position, which I also posted on Twitter. You can find the link to that in the video description. However, from there, we actually reversed to the downside once again. And what are we seeing at the moment, guys? Well, first of all, we can say that this bullish divergence here is basically irrelevant at this point. However, if we just redraw this bullish divergence here, you can see that we now have a new bullish divergence on the 1-hour time frame. And in the case that you're not familiar with how this works, typically a bullish divergence points towards us getting a break from all of this bearish price action that we have been seeing here recently, either in the form of some choppy sideways price action or potentially some bullish momentum on this 1-hour time frame specifically. So again, do understand that there is a difference between the different time frames. You can see short-term pumps like we saw here earlier today, while simultaneously we are still in a downtrend on the higher time frames. Okay, so understand the difference between the different time frames. If you want to see invalidation of this bullish divergence, well, that would be if we trade below this descending trend line in the price, or if we trade below this ascending trend line in the RSI momentum indicator. Of course, after invalidation, this completely opens the door to bearish price action once again, although you should be keeping in mind that these bullish divergences can actually be redrawn quite a few times before you then actually get either a full invalidation, which would be if we trade below, for example, these lows in the RSI, because then we're no longer able to even make a bullish divergence like that, or the price actually ends up turning around at some point before actually invalidating the bullish divergence. So that is just some of the basics that you need to know about bullish divergences. If you actually want to learn more about technical analysis, you can simply go to rt1m.com, because I created a free trading course where I teach you all the basics of TA as well as a bit of leverage trading. So if that's something you're interested in, just go to rt1m.com, where I posted over an hour of educational content about this topic specifically. But regardless, that is not the point of this video today. Hopefully I made my point clear about the lower time frames here on the 1 hour as well as the 4 hour time frame. One thing we should be taking a look at is actually the 1 day time frame, because this is basically still just playing out as expected. We're still in this downtrend, and besides that, we're also still below this descending trend line in the RSI. Therefore, my analysis remains the same as it has been for quite some time here. So long as we're trading below this descending trend line in the RSI, we should not be surprised if we get more downside. Either way, for now, the outlook on Bitcoin simply still remains bearish. Although keep in mind, guys, that I'm going to be bearish on Bitcoin for quite a bit longer on the 1 day time frame than other people that, for example, are already calling for an alt season or something like that. Because personally, I always want to wait for technical confirmation that we are actually breaking the downtrend instead of just pulling something out of my ass and telling you guys that we're gonna fucking moon from here. Either way, something you could be looking out for on the daily time frame is a potential bullish divergence that is forming here. So you can already see how we have lower lows in the Bitcoin price and are potentially going to get higher lows in the RSI momentum indicator, although we do need to see some green candle closes here on this daily time frame before we can really consider this to be a bullish divergence. So I'm just going to keep it in green here in the charts as some potential things to be looking out for. But understand, guys, that of course I could also just be redrawing this a couple of days from now if the bullish divergence does not confirm right away and we just get more downside. You will just see me redraw this bullish divergence because it was never confirmed in the first place. So hopefully I made my point clear here on the 1 day time frame. Next, taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. First of all, on the 1 year time frame, right here you can see that we got a massive amount of liquidity sitting at that 75k level, and every day that we're trading here, it seems that we're getting closer and closer to actually taking out this big pocket of liquidity. Although we should also be taking into account this big pocket of liquidity sitting at around this 76.6k level. Zooming into this 2-week time frame though, you can see that of course currently we're at basically a 2-week low, and therefore all of the liquidity on this 2-week time frame is to the upside. For example, there's some liquidity sitting at around 81k, 84.3k, 87k, and then most of the liquidity is sitting at around this 91,000 US dollar level, and there just continues to be massive liquidity to the upside as well. So of course, if this thing really starts to turn around and we actually start breaking some of these downtrends, potentially invalidating this bearish pattern that we were looking at earlier on in this video, then we might actually get some kind of massive pump to the upside. However, for now, I'm not really seeing those signals yet, right? Either way, this has been today's market update. Don't forget to check out the free trading course on rt1m.com. But regardless, if you do end up checking it out or not, thank you for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.